to my channel. So today we're just going to sit alongside the stack of books that I read during the 30 book challenge. And no, this is a lot of books, but it's not the 30 books. We're missing two. One of them was an electronic version and one was a children's book that I read at the library. We're just going to briefly mention them. So in this video, I thought I would just, sit here next to the stack and just reflect on the time that I spent reading. So to be fair, I carved out time to read these books. There were times when I should have been sleeping that I didn't, just because I wanted to finish a book. And those lazy days of summer when I probably should have been doing other things, like when my daughter was at tutoring. Yeah, she went to be tutored. She spent some time with her teacher from last year. And so when she was sitting at the library doing her work, I would sit and I'd power through a book at the library, which is why a lot of these books came from the library. That's not why. But what I'm trying to say is that I didn't flake out on my other responsibilities altogether. I read a lot. I'm really proud. I'm not sure if I should be proud or embarrassed by the stack of books, because I acknowledge that a lot of time was spent reading these books, but for now we're going to just say I'm really proud of this accomplishment. And so I wanted to spend some time today just showing you the stack of books. This is what 28 books looks like. So yeah, those are the 28 books. So let's chat about them briefly. I'm not going to do a full discussion of each book because I did that in my check-in videos. So here are the books that I read. First was In the Company of Men. This was about the beginning and the progression of the Ebola crisis in West Africa. One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich focused on the forced labor camps during the Stalin regime in the 1960s Russia. Elena Knows was set in Argentina, and in this one we have a woman who's dealing with advanced Parkinson's disease as well as a complicated relationship with her daughter. Let's call it complicated. Trick by Dominique Starnone had an aging, accomplished artist in a tug-of-war with his grandson, who's also an artistic prodigy. That was really interesting. We had The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, adapted for a graphic format. This was adapted by her grandson. If you're not familiar with the story of The Lottery, it is showing the dangers of conformity, like blind conformity. At Night All Blood is Black showed a Senegalese soldier fighting for the French army in World War I, and this shows what happens to the mind when you're not really tied to either outcome of the war. Like, no matter how the war ends, you will still be on the losing side. That's what happens in that book. The Uncommon Reader by Alan Bennett imagined Queen Elizabeth becoming a serious reader, and what that would look like if the woman who was the leader of the royals, if she kind of abandoned everything for the pursuit of reading, for the joy of reading, for the love of reading. Elevation by Stephen King imagined a man being released from the bounds of gravity and fictionalizing what weightlessness would look like. Weightlessness no longer being tied to things. Consider that however you like. The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett was about a private detective, whose first client is himself. Love it. Western Lane by Chetna Maru is about a family who is reeling from the loss of one of its members and trying to deal with that by immersing into training for a squash championship, and kind of how that goes. You imagine that that's not going to go well. The Silence by Don Delilo. This is silence on Super Bowl Sunday. The lights go out on Super Bowl Sunday, and what do people have to do when the entertainment is no longer available? If I Survive You by Jonathan Escoffrey shows the search for identity within families, but also for children of immigrants and immigrants themselves looking for that new identity in the society. The Perfect Nanny by Leila Slimani could just as easily have been named The Horrible Nanny, because even when the nanny seems like she's perfect, she's not. Books Promiscuously Read, Reading as a Way of Life by Heather Cass White focused on reading for the pleasure and the possibility and the power. Reading for pleasure, reading for the sake of reading. Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day by Winifred Watson is the day in the life of a woman who has been living a kind of buttoned up existence and is now finally seeing how the other people live and deciding to join in for it as well. An American Immigrant by Joanna Rojas Van is about a daughter of Colombia finally learning about and falling in love with her Colombian heritage. Green Days by the River by Michael Anthony is about a teenage boy who is being asked to sacrifice love for ambition and family. Yeah, teenage boy. Did I mention? He's a kid. Rhode Island by Sarah Tick is a short book about a small state which I visited recently, so that was great. Alice in Wonderland, illustrated by Amanda Gulliver, was an abridged version of the timeless children's story. This one, I think, focused on the illustrations, not so much on the lack of text, because the pictures are really great. Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress by Dai Sijai was about teenage boys being exiled to the village to be re-educated by peasants during the Chinese Cultural Revolution. This also includes a lot about the love of reading and how literature can take you through even the most dark days. The Puzzler by A.J. Jacobs was puzzle exploration overlaid with humorously written memoir. Love this one. My Lovely Wife in the Psych Ward was a memoir by Mark Lukash, whose wife was institutionalized for a mental health issue, and he shows what happened to his family, what happened to his wife and himself during this time. Little Leaders, Bold Women in Black History by Vashti Harrison profiled 40 Black women firsts, and I love this book. I have one line to a song to describe One Day in December by Josie Silver, and the song goes like this: if you can't be with the one you love, ... People in the Room by Nora Lange, another Argentinian author. This is voyeurism meets hallucinations. We have a teenage girl who is obsessing about 3 women from across the street. Madeline by Ludwig Bemelmans is a little girl living in an institutional setting in Paris, and her daily life is being lived out in front of gorgeously rendered Parisian scenes. More about Madeline. This one is Madeline in the Old House in Paris, written by the original author's grandson, John Bemelmans Marciano. And this is more about Madeline, a little girl, and her friend save the day. They save the dream of a positively ancient man. Let's just say it like that. The Man I Never Met by Elle Cook. This is international romance. Frank Plantain by Zelika Reid Benta. Unique experience of children of immigrants trying to find their own identity in a society, this time in Canada. And finally, Black Ink, essays edited by Stephanie Stokes Oliver, focused on the evolution of the African American author. And so yeah, these are the 30 books that I read over the course of 38 days. Let me know if you think I should attempt this again. Should I go for it? Maybe. I can't do it in September, clearly. But maybe I should try this again in October and see if I could go to maybe 35 days. 34 days, 31 days, that would be great. Let me know if you've ever done a version of this challenge and what it was like for you. Thank you so much for watching. If I had to give you a favorite from these books, The Puzzler by A.J. Jacobs is a high recommendation. If I Survive You by Jonathan Escoffery, another really fantastic read. Elena Knows by Claudia Pinheiro, right here. That was another favorite. I absolutely love The Uncommon Reader by Alan Bennett. My Lovely Wife in the Psych Ward for a different reason. And Black Ink. Black Ink contained essays from various authors. So I don't know if I'd recommend that you read Black Ink or just go read some of those African American authors' works by themselves. So yeah, these were some really great books. These were some really great books that I read over the 38 days. So thank you so much for being with me on this journey. I really appreciated your comments and your inspiration. You really helped keep me motivated to continue this challenge. So I look forward to doing it again and to chatting with you about it. Would love to talk with you in the comments down below. So let's interact down there. And until we come back for another video, happy reading. Bye!